Can you imagine it? A quiet night, no car horns, no buzzing phones, just the wind brushing gently against the curtains, and a candle flickering softly in the corner of the room. The world outside keeps spinning, noisy, restless, but here is a pause. You're sitting there, alone, or maybe not. Maybe you're sitting with yourself. No need to fix anything. Just breathe in, slowly, and breathe out, gently. Have you ever asked yourself, what am I suffering from, that I never really had control over? Maybe it was someone who walked away, a message that never came, a result that didn't turn out as hoped, a memory that keeps returning, no matter how hard you try to forget, like trying to hold on to smoke. The tighter you grip, the faster it disappears. Somewhere, the Buddha might have smiled without saying a word, because he knew, suffering doesn't come from what happens. It comes from how tightly we hold on. Like muddy water, the more we stir, the murkier it gets. But if we sit still, the mud settles, clarity returns. You can try this, too. Sit for a moment. No need to fix, no need to understand. Just place your hand over your heart, and feel its rhythm, faithfully beating, through all these years. Then ask, gently, is this something I really have control over? And if not, maybe you don't need to carry it so tightly anymore. Tara Brach once wrote, when we deeply let go and let be, our energy flows freely. We reconnect with our natural aliveness, love, and awareness. No rush, no pressure to understand. Just let yourself feel. Sometimes, hearing just one sentence at the right moment, you don't have to control everything to be at peace, is enough for a soul to finally breathe again. So breathe, dear one, as if it's the first time you've been allowed to live, without holding it all together, without pretending you're okay. Can you imagine what might happen if every sorrow in you was gently heard, instead of pushed away? If you've stayed up late over something you can't change, if you've blamed yourself for not being strong enough to move on, if you've grown tired of always having to understand, to hold it all, to stay strong, then maybe, just tonight, you can whisper to your heart, I don't have to do anything right now. Just be here, with my breath, with this candle, with myself. Ajahn Brahm once said, letting go isn't losing, it's winning against the fear of losing. Tonight, we'll journey through this story together, of release, of what's beyond reach, and of peace. That comes not from control, but from acceptance. Are you ready? Take a deep breath, and let your mind open up like the sky. No force, just presence. You are being listened to, not by anyone else, but by your own heart. If this brought you even a little ease, share it with someone who might need a quiet moment too. And if you'd like to keep walking this gentle path together, hit follow. We'll meet again, somewhere in the stillness. A lantern in the dark, understanding the pain of control. There's a room we've all stepped into, even if only in our minds. A room called, what if? What if I'd said something different? What if they hadn't left? What if I'd just been better, somehow? We stay in that room so long, we forget the door's always open. Not locked, no guards, just disbelief that we're allowed to leave. Suffering often doesn't come from what happened, but from trying to control what never was ours to begin with. In Buddhism, this is called attachment, to outcomes, to people, to the image we've built in our heads, of how life was supposed to be. In modern psychology, they call it the illusion of control, the belief that, if we had just tried a little harder, thought a little longer, hurt a little less, maybe we could have changed it all. But we couldn't, because some things belong to impermanence, to other people's choices, to a world that spins on its own time, its own tides, not ours. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, suffering is a part of life, but if you learn how to embrace it with mindfulness, you'll discover the seeds of understanding and compassion within. Pain isn't wrong. Pain is a sign that something inside us is holding on too tightly. And sometimes, that grip doesn't even belong to the present. It comes from a wound long ago, when we were too small to understand that someone's leaving wasn't our fault. We grow up, but the child inside, the inner child, still believes, if I just try hard enough, please them enough, they'll stay. So even as adults, We keep trying to control. Not out of greed, but out of fear. Not from weakness, but from old, unhealed ache. Ajahn Brahm once shared a curious truth. Don't try to let go. Let go of trying. It sounds backwards, but it's a key. Because the more we try to let go, the harder it gets. Only when we stop, truly stop, no fixing, no pushing ourselves to move on, does a space open up. And in that space, healing doesn't come from effort, but from presence. Like the moon, doing nothing, still shining. Like breath, simply there, guiding us home. Would you try this with me? Take a slow breath in, and let it out, gently. Place your hand over your heart, and whisper to yourself, you don't have to control everything. Just be here with me. Now, when we release what's beyond our hands, we reclaim what lives within our heart. Peace. It's not instant, but it doesn't have to be. Like water seeping into soil. Quietly, slowly, but deeply. And something strange happens. You know, when we stop trying to control it all, life finds its way. Not as we imagined, but enough to carry us forward. A leaf falls without a reason, when life doesn't go as planned. Have you ever sat beneath a tree, and watched a single leaf fall? It floats down so gently. No sound, no resistance, just letting go. But when someone leaves us, or when something we cherish changes, our hearts feel like crashing waves. We don't blame the leaf for falling. Yet somehow, we blame ourselves for not holding on tightly enough. That feeling of losing control often carries a heavy question. Where did I go wrong? But sometimes, no one did. It's just that, like the leaf, it was time for something to fall away. The Buddha taught us about impermanence. That nothing lasts forever. Not happiness, not sadness, not even the version of ourselves we think we must be. Everything changes, and suffering comes when we want something to stay the same. Psychology tells us that the brain reacts to unexpected change, like it's facing danger, even when there's none. So we rewind, we analyze, we blame ourselves, as if we could fix the past. But the leaf has already fallen. The more we cling to the empty branch, the more our hands begin to bleed. Tara Brach once said, letting go of control, letting life be as it is, means opening to change, opening ultimately to our impermanence. So what do we do when life no longer follows our plan? Not push harder, not force understanding, but perhaps allow ourselves to hurt without punishing ourselves for it. Would you try something with me? Grab a piece of paper. Write down 3 things you've been trying to control, even though, deep down, you know you can't. Be honest. Then, tear the paper. Not because it's gone, but because you're choosing to stop carrying it alone. And as those torn pieces fall, close your eyes. Picture a leaf falling gently inside your chest. Weightless, natural, no reason needed. Sometimes, healing doesn't come from what we keep, but from knowing when it's time to let go. A boat on the river, when we feel powerless over someone else's emotions. Imagine you're rowing a small boat across a wide, quiet river. The water isn't rough, but it isn't still either. Winds blow, clouds drift, and in the distance, you see another boat, moving in the opposite direction. You want to call out. You want them to stop, to turn around, but the oars are in their hands, not yours. Some relationships in life are just like that. We love, we care, we try, and yet, they still leave, not because we weren't enough, but because their river chose a different direction. Often, what hurts most isn't just that they're gone, but the voice in our head whispering, you should have been able to make them stay. We assign ourselves a power we never truly had, the ability to control someone else's feelings, choices, or journey. The Buddha taught about non-self, that there is no separate, solid, me, who owns or commands another person's life. Each of us is a river unto ourselves, carrying our own karma, wounds, choices, and freedom. In psychology, this is called healthy boundaries. Knowing where I end, and where you begin. Knowing that I can love deeply, without living your life for you. One of the deepest wounds is feeling powerless, When someone we love is hurting, and we can't fix it, we believe, if I'm just good enough, they won't be sad. If I understand them more, they won't leave. But the truth is, people in pain still have the right to feel it. People we love still have the right to walk away. And we can still love without clinging, still care without control. Ajahn Brahm once said, when someone walks away, let them go, not because you don't care, but because love means opening your hands, not closing your fists. So if you're feeling helpless over someone else's emotions right now, try this. Take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Place your hands on your thighs, like holding the oars of your own boat, and gently whisper to yourself, I can only row my own boat. They have their own journey. And I'm learning how to move forward, even when the river doesn't flow my way. Healing doesn't always mean holding on. Sometimes, it means letting go of what was never yours to carry. A sigh in the pillow, when we're tired of ourselves. Night falls, you're lying in bed, all the noise has faded, and then, a soft sigh, barely audible, escapes you. It's yours. No one hurt you today. Nothing went terribly wrong, and yet, your heart feels heavy. Maybe, you're tired of yourself, tired of the silent expectations you carry. I have to be strong. I'm not allowed to fail. I should be grateful. Others have it worse. These thoughts sound like encouragement, but repeated too often, they become weight. When self-compassion gets twisted into self-pressure, we begin to fight ourselves, little by little, day after day. In Buddhism, there is a beautiful teaching called self-compassion, not as indulgence, but as recognition. On this path, everyone gets tired, everyone has limits. Psychology calls this compassion fatigue, the exhaustion from always being the one who holds it together, who cares, who never breaks. And when we finally can't anymore, instead of resting, we blame ourselves. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, when you suffer, speak gently to your pain. Hello, my dear, I will sit with you for a while. No fixing, no pushing it away, just sitting with it. Would you try something? Turn off the light. Lean back on your pillow. Place your right hand over your heart, your left hand on your belly. Close your eyes, and softly ask, is there a part of me that's just asking to rest? Maybe it's the perfectionist. Maybe it's the inner child, trying so hard to be good, so scared of being left behind. Just noticing it is already a beginning. And if tonight, you find yourself sighing without a clear reason, that's okay, too. It's your body's way of saying, you've done enough today, my love, you've tried so hard. The darkness ahead, when we fear what hasn't happened yet. Have you ever looked into the night and suddenly felt small? There are moments when nothing specific is wrong, and yet, your chest tightens at the thought of tomorrow. It's not what has happened that scares us. It's what might. In the darkness of the future, our minds quietly paint stories of loss, failure, loneliness. The fear of what hasn't happened is a very subtle kind of suffering. We think we're preparing, being cautious, getting ready, but in truth, we're trying to control something that doesn't belong to the present moment. The Buddha spoke of mindfulness, being fully here, because the only thing that's real is now. The past is gone, the future isn't here, and yet our minds wander into places that don't exist. In psychology, this is called anticipatory anxiety, when the brain tries to manage uncertainty by imagining the worst possible outcome. And that's where the suffering lives, not in what's happened, but in how we live, as if the worst is already on its way. Ajahn Brahm once said, don't believe everything you think. Not every thought is true, especially the ones born from fear. Would you try something with me? Take a slow breath in and exhale gently. Look around your space. Notice the dim light, the quiet sounds, the stillness. Then softly close your eyes and whisper to yourself, right now, I am safe. Right now, nothing is wrong. Right now, I only need to breathe. Just remember, the future hasn't arrived yet, and however it unfolds, the person you are in this very breath will know how to move through it. You've made it through so many things you thought you couldn't, and you will again. Just don't live through a pain that might never come. The distorted mirror. When we compare ourselves to others. Have you ever looked at someone on social media or in everyday life and felt your heart sink? Not because they did anything wrong, but because somehow they just seemed more okay than you, more successful, more peaceful, more loved, and then you start to compare every step, every choice, every piece of your life, measured against someone else's, until you're exhausted from trying to measure up to a life that isn't yours. This is a quiet kind of suffering, living your own life, but wishing you could control someone else's, wanting to understand why they seem to have more, wondering what you did wrong, to feel less. The Buddha taught that each being carries a unique karma, a distinct path, a story that cannot, and should not, be compared. Psychology reminds us, we only see the surface of others, but compare it to the deepest, most wounded parts of ourselves. It's like staring into a distorted mirror, where everything looks off, but we still believe it's real. Jack Kornfield once said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." So when you feel unsettled by someone else's life, try this. Pause, place your hand over your heart, and whisper, "This is my pace, not faster, not like theirs, but it's real." Then choose something small, truly small, to do for yourself. Brew a cup of tea. Read a few pages from a book you love. Play a song that softens your chest. Not to catch up, not to match anyone, but to return to the one life you were given. No one else can live your story, and you don't need to live anyone else's rhythm. The seed that hasn't sprouted when effort doesn't bring results. Have you ever planted a seed, watered it every day, placed it under warm sunlight, and waited, but saw no green shoot? You glance over at the pot next to yours. Someone else planted theirs just recently, and it's already sprouting, already blooming. And then, a quiet voice rises in you. What did I do wrong? Just like that, there are times when we pour our whole heart into something. Studying, loving, starting anew, healing, but the results, they don't come, not because we didn't try, but because effort doesn't always equal outcome. In Buddhism, this is called dependent origination. You can plant the seed, but you cannot command when it blooms. Flowers bloom when the earth is soft enough, the air warm enough. Spring cannot be summoned. Modern psychology speaks of something called learned helplessness. When repeated effort leads to no visible result, the mind starts to believe, nothing I do will ever matter. But maybe, your seed is growing, just beneath the surface, just not where your eyes can see yet. Ajahn Chah once said, "We take care of the tree not to force it to bloom, but because tending is what we do." So if today, you feel discouraged, because what you hoped for hasn't happened yet, try this. Write yourself a little note. Something simple, like, "Thank you for trying," even if no one sees it yet. Then place it somewhere visible. On your mirror, your desk, your door. This isn't pretending, it's remembering. Your worth isn't in the outcome, but in who you are becoming along the way. Some seeds bloom much later. Some fruits ripen when you've already let go. And some journeys aren't about success, but simply about not abandoning yourself. You don't have to understand everything when letting go is all that's left. There are things in life that happen without reason, no matter how much time passes, how much you analyze, how many times you ask, why, you still don't get an answer. Because some things can't be understood with logic. They don't fit neatly into cause and effect. They just happen. Someone leaves, a dream fades, an opportunity disappears, without a trace of explanation. And you wrestle inside, wanting to understand, so you can accept, wanting a reason, so the ache might ease. But then, after all the questions, after the tears have dried, you might realize, maybe, not everything is meant to be understood. The Buddha spoke of letting go, not because we've understood everything, but because we know, holding on is only hurting us more. Psychology echoes this, reminding us, healing doesn't always require answers, just a safe space for feelings to exist. Ajahn Brahm once said, "When you hit rock bottom, don't rush to climb out. Sit there a while. Breathe. Eventually, the rocks will shift. If you're still carrying something, a lingering ache, a nameless sadness, a crack you can't explain, try this. Imagine a small stone in your hand. That stone is what you don't understand, what you haven't forgiven, what you can't let go of yet. Now extend your hand outward and release the stone. No throwing, no shouting, just let it fall and whisper, I choose peace, even without all the answers. Some things don't need explaining. They just need to stop hurting you. Morning hasn't fully arrived. Darkness still lingers on the windowsill. But light has begun to tiptoe in. Like an old friend returning from a long, quiet dream. You're still here, not rushing, not forcing, just a body that breathes. A heart slowly softening. The stories that held your hand through the night. Of things you couldn't control. Of letting go. Of quiet aches without names. Have now become something softer inside you. You don't have to understand it all. You don't have to fix it all. All you need to know is, you made it through, and you're still here. Thich Nhat Hanh once wrote, happiness is not in the future. It's when you place your hand on your heart, and realize you're still alive, still breathing, still returning to this moment. If even a small part of you feels lighter now, if something in your chest just exhaled, then please, let yourself rest. Your shoulders have carried so much. Now, let them drop. Let go like the clouds release the rain. Gently, like leaves fall from branches, without regret. You don't need to control everything to feel peace. You just need to be here. Truly, be here. If you'd like, close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself lying in a soft field. The sky is clear. The breeze is kind. Birdsong floats in the distance. You don't need to do anything. No proving. No pretending. Just presence. And there, in that quiet that doesn't need a name, you notice a small light rising inside your chest. Warm, soft, gentle. You've walked far enough for now. It's okay to rest a little. Thank you for staying through every breath, every word. If this journey brought even a touch of ease to your heart, share it, like a candle passed hand to hand, with someone who might be quietly aching too. And if you wish to keep walking this gentle path together, hit follow. We'll meet again, on another quiet night, wrapped in stillness and soft compassion.